Good morning, everyone. I'm here. Hope you are all really well. So today's update is going to focus very much on the news that we all heard on Saturday that we were expecting at 4 o'clock. And of course, it didn't happen until about 6:30. So we've had in our communities, in my HMO property community group, which has got nearly 18,000 landlords. Lots of people were getting a little bit confused as to what they could and what they couldn't do and what this meant for us, because things are different this time. Things are slightly different than they were the first time. Now, the first time was a complete lockdown on pretty much everything. This time, construction workers are allowed to go to work. If you can't work from home, then you can go to the office, according to what Boris said. And largely, the housing market is open. That's what we know. That's what we've learned. Now, very shortly after the update on Saturday from Boris, we had the Housing Secretary go onto Twitter and release a couple of statements. And what I'm going to do first today is I'm going to share that with you and tell you what they've said. So let's get straight into this, folks. And if you've got any questions, then please do put them in the comment box. This is, very much news is breaking. Obviously, things are happening. Things are working around it. So let's see what the news is that we know so far that's going to affect us the most. So the housing market is to remain open in the 4-week lockdown in England. Now, I do have to caveat that this is England specific, okay? The Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government confirmed the news on Saturday evening via Twitter, some hours after the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, announced the lockdown until December the 2nd. So I'm going to read this now verbatim. A tweet from Housing Secretary Robert Jenrick said, question, can I still move house? Answer, yes. The housing market will remain open throughout this period. Everyone should continue to play their part in reducing the spread of the virus by following the current guidelines. He then went on to say, the guidelines originally issued in August says, quote, the process of searching for and moving into a new home is different because property agents, conveyancers and other professionals have modified how they work to reduce the risk of COVID. These changes could include doing more online, such as offering virtual viewings, vacating your current property during viewings, and ensuring your property is thoroughly cleaned before somebody moves in. We encourage all parties involved to be as flexible as possible and to be prepared to delay moves. For example, if one of those involved becomes ill with COVID during the moving process or has to self-isolate, it may become necessary to pause all home moves locally or nationally for a short period of time to manage the spread of coronavirus. We will let you know if this needs to happen. He goes on to say, if you are about to enter into a legally binding contract, you should discuss the possible implications of COVID-19 with your legal professional and consider making contractual provisions to manage these risks. You should not expect to immediately be able to move into any home where people have COVID or are self-isolating. Those renting a property, letting agents and landlords should be aware of and follow the government guidance on coronavirus and renting, which contains advice that may also be applicable, such as possession proceedings, repairs, maintenance, and health and safety. For members of the public, prospective buyers and tenants, as well as vendors and landlords, the same government guidance note says, quote, you are free to move home. However, you may find the process of searching for and moving into a new home is different as property agents, conveyancers, and other professionals have modified how they work. Initial viewing should be done virtually wherever possible. property agent should be able to help you with this. Members of the public who are visiting an agent's office or viewing a property should wear a suitable face covering as described in the government guidance, unless they are exempt from this requirement. This should be confirmed with the agent before arrival. Anyone with concerns should contact the agent in advance of their visit to discuss appropriate measures. All physical viewings where prospective buyers or renters will be entering the property should involve no more than 2 households. Now, there's a thread yesterday which got a little bit confusing as to what this meant in my property group. So I'm going to just reiterate that. All physical viewings where prospective buyers or renters will be entering the property should involve no more than 2 households inside the property at any one time. This includes any agent accompanying either party. Anyone in a support bubble with either household, however, will count as part of that household. So HMOs, they will be deemed as one household. So all the tenants, despite what contract they're on, that's one household. Tenant prospect, 2 households. So that means that you, me, your staff, whoever does your viewings, is going to have to stay outside of the property because we can only have 2. Now, if you've got any questions, folks, put them in the comments and we'll do a bit of a Q&A. I've got a lot more news to share with you here because we need to talk about the furlough scheme and, of course, the mortgage holidays as well. So that's the 2 household rule. Viewings should be arranged by appointment only, and open house viewings should not take place when viewing properties in person. You should avoid touching surfaces. Where possible, wash your hands regularly and use hand sanitizer. If people are being shown around your home, you should open all internal doors and ensure surfaces such as door handles, etc., are cleaned after each viewing. We recommend that you vacate your property while viewings are taking place in your own home in order to minimize unnecessary contact. Anyone involved in any aspect of the home moving process should practice social distancing in line with public health advice. When moving between properties, you and those in your household should try to do as much of the packing yourself as you can. Where this is not possible, you should speak to your removal firm in advance, and there is further advice about this if you need it. If you are particularly worried about the risk of infection, speak to your landlord, estate agent, or remover. Okay, so that's where we are with that, folks. So we are good to go. It's the no more than 2 household rule and pragmatic. So the message is keep calm and carry on with regards to moving property. Kit's saying, as a mortgage broker, I'm not complaining that the housing market's still open, but it's such a smack in the face to so many other businesses. Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that this is right or wrong for anybody. I do obviously feel for everyone involved. Now, although I am a landlord first and foremost, I also have a pub that trades, well, currently isn't going to trade again, and serviced holiday lets in Wales that are locked down too. So I feel for all elements of this. So moving on from that then, so in the same thread, there is one key takeaway for agents from the weekend's announcement on the next England-wide lockdown is the housing market is to stay open. However, there will be some short notice changes on the fringes of agency activity. So like everything, we do need to make sure that we expect a little bit more to be added to this as it unfolds. It's only just been announced. We don't know, what else is going to happen yet. I think that Rishi Sunak is now going to have to unveil some kind of financial help again, very similar to they did last time, but this is all going to start to unfold. Now, it's saying here that this includes an extension to the owner, occupiers and landlords' mortgage holiday and an extension of the furlough system. Both are being extended until at least the scheduled end of the latest lockdown, which is December the 2nd, if it finishes then. An announcement is expected from the Financial Conduct Authority concerning the extended mortgage holiday, which began in the spring and should have finished on Saturday, October the 31st. What's going to happen? Well, under the old system, owner-occupiers and landlords who needed help were able to request a payment holiday until October 31st. This is now to be extended along with the corresponding ban on repossessions. As before, future mortgage payment holidays and partial payment holidays under this government initiative will not have a negative impact on credit files. We've discussed this in length on the last mortgage holiday. Although they say it won't have a negative impact on your credit file, it may impede you from getting a mortgage in the future. Now, I'm not a broker. I just look at this pragmatically. If people are going to be asked, have they taken a mortgage holiday, and then it goes to underwriting, then is it going to have an effect? There are some brokers on here. I would welcome your thoughts on that. For agents and industry suppliers with staff who were expected to come off furlough on the 31st of October, which is just gone, there may be relief that the scheme is to be temporarily extended until the end of the England lockdown on December the 2nd. Employees will receive 4/5 of their current salary up to a maximum of £2,500. Okay, so employees will receive 4/5 of their current salary up to a maximum of £2,500. In the meantime, the housing market will remain open. Now, Mark Hayward, who is the chief executive of the NAEA Property Mark, says, quote, "It is essential all agents continue to play their part in reducing the spread of the virus through following all relevant guidance. Agents must operate in accordance with government and property guidelines to keep the market moving through uncertain times." Statements by Housing Secretary Robert Jenrick and the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government over the weekend both gave a stay calm and carry on message to agents in the industry, urging people to follow the existing government guidelines. Okay, let's just do a couple of questions, folks, if you've got any coming in here. Lots of people saying good morning. Not doing any good morning shout outs today, folks, because I think this is important. We've got to get this message out there. But if you could share this from your feed, that would be good. Rich is saying, really appreciate it as always. Thank you. You are welcome. If you've got any particular questions, then please do let me know. It is important we get this message out. What we're trying to do here is just put some kind of normality onto this, which is news that obviously, has come to a shock to pretty much all of us, or has it, as the case may be. I think we were expecting something. I don't think it's as bad as potentially it could have been. So keeping in theme with this then, my next report says that it is thought likely that the new 4-week lockdown in England coming into effect on Thursday will mean evictions will be extremely difficult to enforce now for some months. Again, it just doesn't get better, does it, in terms of the eviction element? Although the eviction ban actually ended several weeks ago, it was agreed last week that tenants living in areas under the old Tier 2 and Tier 3 COVID restrictions in England and Wales were temporarily protected from being evicted. The government asked bailiffs not to enforce court possession orders in areas with the highest coronavirus restrictions. So although evictions could still proceed through the courts, bailiffs will not enforce orders in Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas. Bailiff trade bodies agreed to the request made in a letter from the Justice Secretary, Robert Buckland, who wrote, "We would request that your members should instruct the enforcement agents working under their authorisation not to enter properties that are classified as local level Tier 2 and Tier 3. With the new lockdown now in England lasting from November the 5th to December the 2nd, at least, it's thought that the bailiff's decisions not to enforce evictions in high restriction areas will be extended across England. The government has already said that enforcement action will also be paused over Christmas, specifically between December the 11th and January the 11th, except in the most serious circumstances, such as cases involving antisocial behaviour or domestic abuse. It is thought likely that courts in England will still sit during the imminent lockdown, and they are prioritising eviction cases involving ASB, crime and extreme rental arrears. However, practical enforcement now for any eviction agreed appears likely to be on hold until mid-January. On top of all of that, agents acting for landlords in England and Wales must now give 6 months' notice to tenants before starting evictions. So it's all kind of up in the air at the moment with that, folks. Let's just see what happens now. I think my advice on that is to communicate as best you can with your tenants. Try and work with them. It's tough times for everybody. It's going to get a little bit tougher. We got through it before. We will get through it again, okay? So that's it from today. A little bit on the negative side, I suppose, but it is important to me to send my message out there just so everybody knows exactly what the government are talking about and keeping you bang up to date. So we've got a couple of questions. Kit saying, can't see me now, regarding mortgage holidays, I've said from the very beginning, only take the holiday if you have to. However, no one can blame you for a knee-jerk reaction and for sticking up on cash reserves. If you have the opportunity, but you must understand the chance that it could affect your purchase. I've had a client miss out on the house of his dreams because the lender wanted a 12-month clean history. I absolutely agree, Kit, with everything that you've said, and we've been saying the same thing. Sandeep is saying, we are okay for viewings if we limit to 2 households, one being the HMO and the other being the agent. No, Sandeep, you are okay for 2 households, but you and the tenant prospect will take it to 3 households. So Sandeep, the household for the HMO is 1, so all your tenants will be 1, and your tenant prospect will be 2. You, my friend, are going to have to stay outside. So you would go in initially before your prospect arrived with your mask on, making sure the doors are left open so the tenant prospect doesn't have to open any doors. Then you come out and then your tenant prospect can go in, because that is the rule of 2. All right, Sandeep, I hope that helps. Paul saying the lockdown will last well into 21. It's not about the virus now, it's about the vaccine. Thank you, Paul. Let's keep our fingers crossed here. Valeria, I never got that as a reaction to these lockdowns. No problem. Valeria saying thank you. Tracy saying good morning. The positive part to focus on. Okay, cool. Nadia saying you appreciate the lockdown. The information. No problem. Paul, is it wise to put faith in government publicised forecasts? What has been their record on truth and accuracy? I don't know, but what else do we have to go on right now? We've just got to make sure that we get through this. So folks, that is it today. Thank you for following me. A busy one today. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to keep you updated as the news breaks. As always, serving my community for you. Don't forget to click that follow button just so you don't miss these lives. And if you do know anybody in your community that would benefit from these, please click on that share button. Okay, that's it from me today. Last up is Valeria saying, how about the mortgage holiday is requested with a mortgage in a limited company and a new mortgage requested under a different limited company? I think you need to talk to a broker, Valeria, regarding that. I'm not sure it's going to make any difference. I do know that after the last lockdown, we started to see a paragraph on the mortgage application asking if we'd ever had any C-bill loans, any bounce back loans, and of course, had we taken advantage of any mortgage holidays. So I do honestly think it probably will have an effect moving forwards. Okay, folks, thank you for watching. I'll be back here tomorrow at 8:30. Click on that bell thing so you don't miss it. I'll keep you updated in the meantime. If there's anything breaking today, of course, I will come and do a live for you just to keep you up to date. All right, have some fun. And don't forget, keep calm and carry on.